Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about the Old Age Security, or the OAS. I'm going to talk about when you can receive it, how much you'll receive, how you can increase your payments, but also how the payments could be reduced. The OAS is just another pillar of retirement income. It is funded by the Government of Canada, sort of just like the CPP is. The big difference between the OAS and the CPP, however, is that the OAS is completely funded by taxes. If you watched my previous videos on CPP, you'll know that you actually pay for the CPP. Income gets deducted off your paycheck, and then when you retire, you get that money back in the form of a pension. Whereas OAS, I guess you're still sort of paying for it because it does come from your taxes. So how much will you receive from OAS? Well, there's a couple of things that are going to affect your payments. The big one being how many years you've lived in Canada. The other being when you're going to start your OAS, and the other being how much money you're going to earn in retirement. So like usual, I've created a spreadsheet here to calculate the payments that you could receive from the OAS. The OAS calculations are based on the number of years you've lived in Canada over the age of 18 years old. So you'll see here that if you've lived in Canada for 40 or more years, you can receive the maximum OAS payments, which is $727.67 per month, or a little over $8,700 per year. There's a couple of things to note here. There are two columns here. In July of 2022, the Liberal government introduced a 10% boost to OAS payments for any senior 75 and older. So I've got those calculations there. So you can see that 10% more than $727.64, $800.44. So about $9,600 per year. The other thing to note is that these calculations are updated quarterly, adjusted for inflation, or CPI. These numbers are based on April to June of 2025. If you're watching this past June, so let's say you're watching this in July 2025, these numbers could have already changed based on CPI for the last quarter. So a couple, if you have a spouse or a common law partner, you can see if each partner is earning $8,700 per year, that's an extra almost $17,500 of income just for living in Canada, basically. Now, what if you haven't lived in Canada for 40 years or more? Those are adjusted. Basically, every year that you live in Canada under 40 years is just reduced by a 40th. So if you've lived in Canada for, say, 20 years, you can see the payments here were $363.03, and that's basically exactly half of what you would have received, because 20 years is half of 40. And if you've lived in Canada for 30 years, you would receive 75% of the payments. And you'll notice on this spreadsheet, the spreadsheet only goes down to 10 years. That's because you do have to have lived in Canada for 10 years or more after the age of 18 to receive any OAS. So if you've lived in Canada for under 10 years, then you won't be eligible for any OAS. You can actually increase your payments from OAS though. So with the CPP, you were able to take your CPP payments anywhere between 60 and 70 years old. And if you chose to take the CPP before 65 years old, you were penalized 0.6% per month or 7.2% per year for taking it early, but you were rewarded 0.7% per month or 8.4% per year for taking it after 65 years old. With the OAS, you don't have the option of taking it before 65. The earliest you can take it is 65 years old, but you do have the option of delaying it until the age of 70. The benefit of delaying it after the age of 65 is that you'll actually get an increased payment of 0.6% per month or 7.2% per year. It's not quite as beneficial to delay your OAS as it is the CPP, and that's why financial advisors will often, if you can delay one, but you need to take the other, will recommend to delay your CPP because there is a higher guaranteed return for delaying your CPP. But you can see here, I've just gone up by 6-month increases or half a year. I didn't want to put all of the months in there, but if you delay your OAS payments all the way till 70, then as of, again, April to June 2025, you could be receiving $989.63 instead of the $727. So that's getting close to $12,000 per year. And again, if you were over 75, those payments increase all the way to almost $1,100 per month, or just over $13,000 per year. Now, the OAS can be reduced. There is something called the OAS recovery tax. Most of you will know it better by the OAS clawback, and this is quite a significant penalty. If you are earning an income over $93,454, you will begin to lose 15 cents for every dollar that you earn over $93,454. That's a 15% tax on your OAS if you earn more than the $93,454. You can see here that once you earn over $151,668, your OAS payments are completely gone. So that means any income between $93,454 and $151,668 will reduce your OAS payments by 15%. Once you hit that $151,000, you no longer receive any OAS payments. If you're 75 or older, because of that 10% bump that was introduced, then that income is about $157,000 before you no longer earn any OAS. So let's say I've changed the income here to $100,000. Let's say a couple wants to live off $100,000. And in this scenario, one spouse earns $100,000 and the other spouse earns nothing. And so you can see here that they will be penalized $981.90 over the year. So their OAS payments, instead of being $87.32 per year, they would have lost the $981 and they would receive $7,750. This is where retirement planning comes in handy. I've had a couple of videos on, say, the spousal RRSP and other income splitting strategies. If you can split that $100,000 and now each spouse is earning $50,000, the family is still earning $100,000, but now neither spouse has any OAS clawback and both spouses earn full OAS payments. Now, what can count as retirement income? That can be any income from a job, could be pensions, RRSPs or RIFs, LIRAs and LIFs, CPP, capital gains, and even OAS from the previous year. So your OAS payments from the previous year can affect your OAS payments for the current year. What I didn't mention was the TFSA. This is a wonderful account where you could end up taking, say, $1 million out, and none of that would count as income, and you would still get your full OAS payments. And that's why the TFSA is so important. Even if you're in a high income tax bracket while you're working, it's important to have some TFSA money when you retire, because all of those withdrawals don't count as income. Now, how do you apply for it? Well, for the most part, as soon as you turn 64, you're going to receive a letter in the mail saying that you're automatically enrolled in the OAS program, and on your 65th birthday, you're going to start collecting your OAS paychecks. If you do not get that letter in the mail, or if you decide to delay your OAS payments past the age of 65, you will need to go online and register or enroll in the OAS for the dates that you would like to take it. So I hope this video has shown you what the OAS is, how it can help you, and it should be part of your retirement planning strategies. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to stay informed of some of my other ones, please subscribe below and have a wonderful day.